Good morning, welcome to CATEX-TV. My name is Frank Fortunato. This is a live broadcast from Princeton, New Jersey. Today is Tuesday, February 17, 2009. It's 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in the U.S. It's 4:30 p.m. in London. If you need to reach us during the broadcast, you can phone in toll-free at 1-866-67-CATEX. Overseas, our AOL instant mail address is CATEX-TV. Just a programming note, this Thursday we will have the interview with Sue Langley, who is the Director of Market Operations and North America at Lloyd's of London. That's this Thursday. It will be the lead story in our 11:30 broadcast. Now to our news. President Barack Obama is heading to Denver, Colorado today, where he will sign the $791 billion stimulus plan passed by the Congress on Friday night. The president is going to sign the plan at a ceremony this afternoon in Denver, and then he's going to travel to Arizona, where on Thursday he will release details of his foreclosure plan to help prevent increasing rates of foreclosure throughout the American banking system. The president is going to be very detailed in this plan, apparently, still smarting from complaints that Treasury Secretary Timothy Geithner simply limited his remarks on the financial rescue plan to those of broad outline remarks. The president is apparently going to be extraordinarily detailed in the response to the foreclosure crisis. A little update now on the Continental Flight 3407. This is the plane that crashed in Buffalo, New York on Thursday night. Investigators have located some key components that might help indicate what happened in the final 27 seconds in which the plane plunged to the ground. The NTSB said investigators have located the steering column, all of the propeller blades, 5 of 6 de-icing valves, as well as rubber blades designed to protect the tail from ice. According to the NTSB, although ice has emerged as a possible factor, the cause has remained elusive, in part because no mechanical failure has been identified and the plane was severely damaged. The crew, in fact, had turned on the plane's de-icing mechanisms 11 minutes after leaving Newark Airport. The NTSB said that the pilot appeared to have ignored recommendations by the airline and the federal officials that the autopilot be turned off in icy conditions. The autopilot had remained on until an automatic system warned that a stall could occur, and that's what prompted the pushing forward of the yoke and the shutdown of the autopilot. What they're going to have to do now is determine whether or not the push forward of the yoke was in result of a warning that the tail had developed icing issues, or in fact the wings had developed icing issues. If it was one or the other, it would have required a different movement on the yoke. Investigators have learned that the plane's ice detection system was the subject of maintenance inquiries several flights below the crash. The NTSB said that the system was rechecked and certified as operable, and it was operating on the flight from Newark to Buffalo. Also, the pilot of the same model of plane, a Dash 8 Q400 from Newark to Buffalo, arrived safely 27 minutes after the crash. He reported moderate icing, and another pilot flying well south of Buffalo, same type of plane, reported severe icing. Yesterday, for the first time, family members of those killed in the plane crash were permitted at the site. Both engines of the plane were lifted by crane from the backyard of the house in which it crashed and moved out to the street for further inspection. There's a major winter snowstorm expected in Buffalo sometime starting tomorrow afternoon. So the investigators are racing as quickly as possible to get all of the bodies recovered and the plane parts removed before the storm hits. Now, speaking of other storms, a huge midwinter storm has left much of California rain-soaked and snowbound. It's also caused tremendous traffic difficulties. The storm closed major arteries in and out of Los Angeles, and it also forced the cancellation of the PGA tournament, which was not quite finished. The storm stretched from the Mexican border up to Oregon. It was expected to last through today. According to the Weather Service, clouds extended several hundred miles off the California coast. Heavy snow temporarily forced the closure of Interstate 5 in the mountains north of Los Angeles, as well as a section of Interstate 15 in the mountains to the east. Wind gusts also caused dangerous surf conditions off San Diego and Orange counties. In Northern California, a flash flood advisory was issued for the San Francisco Bay Area, and a flash flood watch was in effect for much of California's central coast. Some news from Japan. The finance minister abruptly resigned this morning. This over allegations that he had made a drunken appearance at a G7 news conference, shaking the prime minister's deeply unpopular government even further. The resignation was a huge embarrassment for the prime minister, who's only been in office since September. The finance minister shown here is Finance Minister Nagakawa. He has denied being drunk. He offered his resignation today after earlier in the day saying he'd stay on. After the resignation, he said, "I have resigned. I decided it would be better for the country if I quit." The prime minister said he made a difficult choice. "I respect his decisions." Nagakawa has been under fire over allegations that he appeared to be drunk at a news conference following the G7 finance ministers meeting in Rome over the weekend. TV footage showed him slurring his speech and looking drowsy and confused. Nagakawa said he took cold medicine, which along with jet lag made him groggy. The scandal was so humiliating that Nagakawa's resignation will not be enough, said a political analyst. The opposition parties will now shift their target to the prime minister, pushing him deeper into a corner. The opposition leader said, quote, "He embarrassed himself in front of the world. The TV footage was shocking. A cabinet minister must be fit, and he needs more self-control." Adding to the dilemma, of course, was the fact that the Japanese economy sank further deeper into recession. It's now operating at a level that hasn't been seen since 1974. And as we speak, Secretary of State Hillary Rodham Clinton is in Tokyo on her first foreign trip, meeting with the Japanese government leaders. Back in California, after a frustrating holiday weekend that failed to yield the one vote needed to end the state's budget stalemate, Governor Schwarzenegger is going to start laying off 20,000 employees today. This picture here shows the California State Senate busy at work. Yes, your eyes are not deceiving you. Those are two state senators sleeping. This is after a marathon 70-hour session failed to produce the one vote needed from the Republican caucus to pass the budget. The lower house passed the budget already. They're still meeting now. They reconvened again this morning out in Sacramento on Tuesday morning. All are looking for that elusive one vote. California is in desperate conditions. They're facing a $42 billion budget shortfall. If the state Senate does not act by about 2 p.m. Eastern Time, the governor is going to start sending out the layoff notices. If you're heading to the pristine Caribbean, specifically to the French island of Guadeloupe, listen up. The main airport was shut down this morning after a night of looting and bonfires on the French Caribbean island, which has been crippled by a 4-week strike. Authorities in the capital, Pointe-à-Pitre, cited security concerns for closing the airport in the capital after employees failed to show up for work, including many baggage handlers. Overnight last night, police fired tear gas at protesters who set fire to roadblocks. Gangs looted shops, smashed storefront windows, and torched cars. The French overseas territory has been sliding deeper into turmoil since a coalition of labor groups launched a strike on the 20th of January. The coalition says that it plans to step up protests even further, this after the government refused to bow to its demand for a monthly $260 U.S. increase for low-wage earners. In Paris, the French President Nicolas Sarkozy said he would meet with elected officials from Guadeloupe and other overseas territories on Thursday to take stock of the situation. Unions launched the strike on a neighboring island of Martinique on the 5th of February, also to press for higher salaries and measures to bring down the prices of basic goods. The residents of both islands rely almost exclusively on imports sold in French-owned supermarkets that are sold at significantly higher prices than in France. Now break for a word from our sponsors. The stock market is down about 243 points as we go into the commercials.